Alright, does everybody remember Carrie Underwood? Little Miss MAGA? The Trump trailer park princess? Yes, the girl that came out and sang at his inauguration when she had no reason to. And then later called it a MAGA makeover. Well, it seems Little Miss MAGA was using immigrant labor on her farm, and now she's having a crisis because she can't find anybody to work at her farm. Dozens of animals being neglected. Carrie, you are using immigrant labor? And Carrie, I didn't think people like you complained. I thought y'all just pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. Is that not what's happening? And what happened to all the good genes? Are they all relaxed fit in Tennessee? I mean, surely when y'all brag on genetics and all this, like some people can perform some manual labor, right? Or are you one of these rich people that's trying to pay $7 an hour for them to work at your farm all day? You know, and it'd sure be a shame if enough people complained to NBC and got your song taken off of Sunday Night Football. We don't need the femme fascist of football serenading us before a bunch of dudes run into each other. You know, it's insane that you make $1 million every time that song plays. But maybe you could use some of that money to hire some people.
The also lovely and privileged Miss Carrie Underwood is finding it hard to maintain her 400-acre farm in Tennessee. She said it's so hard finding and keeping hired hands. You mean the hands that you voted for to get deported? And that's why I understand that y'all's vote was so rooted in racism that you could not even see that you were voted against your own interests. I just want to know, Carrie, while you were in that voting booth, voting against your own interests, who did you think was going to maintain your 400-acre farm? I know like hell you didn't think it was going to be your cousin Billy and Bob. And like hell you thought it was going to be Tyreek and Jashawn. Because we all know y'all have a tendency to pay these immigrants less than what they're worth. And for you to think that you were going to vote to deport them and then in turn hire what? White and black people at the same rate, you got to be out your mind. I guess you're going to have to go on a job search and search for all the people that said all the immigrants was taking all the American jobs. Find them, or matter of fact, is your farm, you work it.
Welcome back to Sparkle's show, where we peel back the glitter to get to the grit of American contradictions. Today's episode is brought to us through the voices of everyday people who took to TikTok to respond to a story making waves across the timeline. So shout out to the original creators and Stitches. We hear you, we see you, and we appreciate your clarity. Let's dive into the rest of the video, and we will be back for more commentary.
Oh Lord, another FAFO celebrity edition, and this one is for Carrie Underwood. Evidently, she's battling exhaustion from having to deal with the endless repairs of looking after a farm and feeding the animals and attending to the crops. Apparently, farm life does not agree with her, and for whatever reason, they don't have any farm workers. So her husband, and her 2 kids are having to pick up the slack of looking after a farm. And apparently it's hard work. Yes, my dear. It is very hard work to be on a farm. So, yep, get to it. Get up at the crack of dawn, get out there and get on those chores. What's the matter? Are the royalties from Until He Cheats drying up that you can't afford to pay farm workers? Or did you have undocumenteds working for you, and now they're not there anymore?
Hey, Carrie Underwood, is America great yet? Because we know you're farmers and you out here getting no sleep, struggling. And we all wonder, what is the difference with your farm? Is it you may not have some undocumented workers to help you and now you got to get it on your own by your bootstraps and you ain't going to pay someone and that's why you're fucking struggling? I swear, anyone that performed that opening weekend for Trump or his inauguration is down bad. Carrie Underwood had a terrible performance to begin with and is now struggling with her farm now that she has no undocumented workers to help her. Snoop Dogg and Nelly haven't been viewed the same since doing it, and they've even tried to backtrack and say, look at all what we done for the black community. You guys are going to take us for granted? So these People are down bad. But let's get back to these Trumpers and them being their own worst enemy. Carrie Underwood, you wanted to be MAGA knowing you had undocumented workers on your farm and you thought this was the best course of action. This is making America great again for you. Why are you complaining? Get your ass up by the bootstraps. This is what you fucking wanted.
You ever notice some people pray for rain, but then complain when they got to carry the bucket? So the rumor is that Carrie Underwood is out here struggling to maintain her 400-acre property. You know, chicken, horse, sheep, greenhouses, all the things, right? It's like a whole little house on the prairie starter kit. So now she's having trouble finding farm hands, and Miss Girl got to get up at the crack of dawn, shovel hay, feed animals, harvest food, water the plant. You know, all the stuff people said Americans would happily do if immigrants stopped stealing their jobs. Now, for me, the irony in all of this is Carrie Underwood is a Trump fan. She's been on the build the wall, protect American jobs train. So I go, if that logic holds, shouldn't she be thrilled right about now? I mean, congratulations, Carrie girl, you got the job back. Now go pull yourself up by your Chinese-made bootstraps and get to work, girl. This is the crazy thing, though. Immigrants have been the backbone of multiple industries in America for a long time. Agriculture, construction, hospitality, industries that keep this country running. Decades of break-backing work, feeding this country, building its home, keeping it alive. And you know what America's reward was? Treat immigrants like they're disposable. Push them out. And then when the system collapses, suddenly everyone's got the shocked Pikachu face. So my question to Americans is, how much are you willing to lose to hold on to the fantasy that you don't need immigrant labor? Because without the people that you said didn't matter, you might just find out your American dream is actually one long nightmare. And you're the one that has to wake up and collect the eggs, boo.
Welcome back, fam. Let's talk about the viral commentary surrounding Carrie Underwood, yes, the country star, who allegedly revealed she's struggling to maintain her 400-acre farm in Tennessee due to a lack of available labor. Now, before we get swept away by celebrity headlines, let's slow it down and understand what's really being said and what's really at stake. The stitched video hit hard. The creator doesn't mince words. The very labor force Carrie Underwood's operation may have relied on, the hired hands, the agricultural workers, was voted out of the country, many of them immigrants. And now the same system she apparently supported by vote is causing her hardship. This isn't just a story about one person's regret. It's a story about interconnected consequences. It's about how voting decisions that are often framed as cultural or moral choices end up circling back to economic self-sabotage. The creator asked a fair question. Who did you think was going to maintain your 400-acre farm? Was it going to be your cousin Billy and Bob? Was it going to be Tyreek and Jayshawn from the city? That moment wasn't just satire, it was a blunt reflection of the racialized expectations of labor in America. It exposed how deeply the country relies on marginalized groups for physical, underpaid labor, while simultaneously pushing them out through policy and propaganda. Let's be honest about what's often left unsaid. There's long been this myth that immigrants are taking jobs from native-born citizens. But as many studies and lived experiences show, most Americans aren't lining up to do farm work in harsh weather with little security and for extremely low pay. Farm labor is grueling, it's seasonal, it's often underprotected, and yet it's essential. So when we hear someone with 400 acres say they can't find help, it's not just a staffing issue. It's a systems issue, one where the very people needed to keep food growing and shelves stocked have been legislated out of reach. And no, the solution isn't simply to hire American workers at the same rate, because let's be real, that rate was never sustainable for large farms accustomed to paying less under exploitative models. Now that the cheap labor is gone, farmers are stuck between economic reality and political choices. There's something almost tragic about watching someone realize their identity-based vote ended up harming their bottom line. Because it's not just Carrie Underwood. We've seen this storyline before. Rural voters across America cheered for strong borders and tough immigration laws, and then wondered why their crops rotted in the fields or their local businesses couldn't stay open. This isn't about shaming. This is about recognizing the danger of disconnection. When we vote without understanding who's actually doing the labor, who's driving the economy, who's cleaning the houses, stocking the grocery shelves, building the homes, we end up making decisions that dismantle our own support systems. One of the Stitch creators put it bluntly. The vote to deport wasn't just about labor, it was about race. Too often, American voters don't see immigrant laborers as neighbors, partners, or contributors. They're viewed as them, as outsiders, until one day they are gone and suddenly nothing works. It's telling that these same voters didn't expect white folks to do the work, nor did they expect black folks, many of whom are professionals, entrepreneurs, students, to suddenly pick up the plow. Because despite centuries of being forced into labor, many black Americans have fought and earned their way out of that particular role, and now they're not going back. So who did they think was going to do the work? Let's be careful not to villainize Carrie Underwood here. This episode isn't about that. This is bigger than her. What we're talking about is a national story of disconnection between what people vote for and what they rely on to survive. It's about people being told to fear immigrants while quietly benefiting from their labor. It's about folks voting with their identity instead of their interests. It's about a system that has always tried to separate the hands from the humanity. And now that system is cracking. So here we are, a 400-acre farm with no one to maintain it, a nation grappling with the very policies it once cheered for, and a labor system stretched so thin it's beginning to unravel. To the Stitch creators who pointed this out, thank you. You gave voice to something many were afraid to say out loud. And to those listening today, let's stay awake. Let's stay curious. Let's ask deeper questions before casting votes that seem safe but come with long-term harm. Because, as we're now seeing, it's not just about politics. It's about the very ground beneath our feet. Thanks for tuning in to Sparkle Show. Subscribe, share, and stay thoughtful. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your heart soft.